Hello. Today we're standing right at the corner of Libertad and Hidalgo streets. And of course we've announced this walk. We're walking down El Centro to support what we're going to do on Friday, which is we're going to talk about El Centro during our broadcast. Now, just to give you some pointers, one block over is Juarez Street, which is the most important northbound street in El Centro. That's where all the buses go. And one block to my right is Miramar Street, and that's the street that goes up towards Gringo Gulch. Right on that corner is the Artists Co-op, where I happened to stop by and I noticed that they have greeting cards. Somebody was just asking on the broadcast whether I knew where one could find greeting cards. But today we're not going to Gringo Gulch and we're not taking the main route through El Centro. We're going to walk up Hidalgo Street. We're going to walk up Hidalgo Street for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's less crowded, less traffic. It's not as noisy. And of course, it gives us another alternative route to get to the other side of town, to get into Cinco de Diciembre and points beyond. While we're walking, I'm going to tell you a few things that I know about El Centro, a few things that I know about this neighborhood. For example, right at this corner is the Hotel School, the Secatur, and this is a government-funded school for young people that want to become involved in tourism. And the reason I mention it is because on the opposite side of this building, there's a small theater that is part of the school. It has been used occasionally for performances, and it's one of those spaces that is unfortunately not used as much as it could. That is where Ken Sebrick and his wife Carrie first started doing their boutique theater a million years ago when they first came to Puerto Vallarta. And now, because it is a government building, of course, we don't know exactly who's running it or who's using it and for what. We're very close to the Church of Guadalupe, of course, and we're going to pass right by it. And we're going to see what else we can find. Hello.
Hola, 9.
Lord have mercy.
Tenemos 9 personas.
¿Con permiso? ¿Con permiso? Ooh, surrounded by tourists. But that's a good thing for the city. Anyhow, we are going to walk through El Centro and check out the sights. We were just here walking the other day, but not through El Centro to talk about El Centro. Look at all these tourists hoping to visit our church. This is a nice thing to see. As long as we are right at this corner, I have to mention this awesome restaurant, El Campanario, which is right here on this very corner. Great Mexican food, very inexpensive stuff. If you find yourselves in this neck of the woods, this building right next to the church, we visited it the other day. This is where the church has its offices now. This is where they built a brand new museum. And we're going to continue with our walk. Now, another reason why we're walking down this street is because it gives us the opportunity to get a sense as to what El Centro has been in the past. Years ago, El Centro used to be a much more dynamic, much more thriving neighborhood. Things have changed, rents have gotten expensive, but there's still some wonderful landmarks that one should check out. This restaurant here across the street, La Cigale, is a very popular French restaurant. And just to give you a sense as to where we're at, if I look this way, just on the other side of the block is Las Parisina. City Hall is right on the opposite corner. And in front of me is one of many ways in which you can climb up the hill to Gringo Gulch. There's all these stair streets. Now that's not what you call them. Well, streets where vehicles cannot go by, and you climb the stairs to get up there. And there's a lot of cute little streets that allow you to climb up to the upper half of El Centro and into Gringo Gulch. Now, you may notice across the street there is an art gallery. This one happens to be called Caballito de Mar. But what I want to point out is not so much the gallery as much as the fact that they have an art walk sign. You see, when I first moved to Puerto Vallarta 20 years ago, the art walk was like the big to-do here in El Centro. There were all these art galleries, and this was the place to go. And it still is, but a lot of galleries have moved elsewhere. So the event, while still popular, is not as vibrant as it used to be. Here's Gaby's, another very popular Mexican restaurant. Nice because it's off the beaten track. But check it out. One of the things that I truly appreciate about this neighborhood is instances such as this one. I don't know who owns this building, but clearly this building has either been kept or has been remodeled in a very traditional way using exposed brick. So it is nice to see how some of the folks living in El Centro have chosen to preserve the nature of their neighborhood. Back when one was able to drive one's car down the Malecón, was also a different time. There was a time when there were a lot of shops in all the little streets that led to the Malecón. Now there's not so much of that. And because so many businesses along the Malecón have become nighttime businesses, the dynamic of the neighborhood has changed considerably. Now check out, this is another one of those walkways that you can get, that you can use rather. This one in particular is the one that leads directly to the lighthouse, the old lighthouse vantage point. Here's a beautiful sculpture by Ramis Barquet. I'm going to take a photo of it. And we are going to continue heading north down El Centro. As you can see, there's nobody here. So if you're feeling a little crazy, like I feel a little crazy when I'm surrounded by a lot of people, you know, walking down the street is a lot more relaxing. Now look at how beautifully kept these gardens are. You know, some businesses and some buildings have done that very nicely. And here's another one of those staircases leading up to the hill. Again, any one of these is very colorful and a great workout. And you know, we're only 2 blocks away from the Malecón. Let me take a close-up shot. There you go. But we continue north. And at this corner, we will take a right for one short little block. We could take a left, but we would end up back in Avenida Juárez. Instead, let us take this little turn to the right, and we will continue our adventure to the left here. Now, right on this corner, let me cross the street, there's a brand new Peruvian restaurant that I haven't had a chance to check out. This is called Puro Peru. It's a fairly new addition. In fact, let's get close to take a photo of the menu to have a better idea of what they serve. I'm always intrigued about new restaurants. So here we are. Let me take a photo and keep it for reference. But I see they have ceviches and seafood prepared in Peruvian style. Lots of seafood. Yes, lots of seafood. So there you have it. If you're craving seafood and you want to experience Peruvian cuisine, this is where you can find it. We cross the street again because the other side is shaded. And we continue heading north. And once again, I find myself really enamored with all the exposed brick I see in this neighborhood. There is that structure up there. Let me get here to the corner and photograph it. I know that this is somebody's famous home that has that thing on the roof. I don't know the story behind it, but I'm sure some friends might. The street that we were walking along, Hidalgo, became Guadalupe Sanchez, which is the street that we're walking on right now. And we are 1 block away from the famous Café des Artistas restaurant. And sí, señor. We'll take a photo once we get close. But check out this beautiful facade. It's called Casa de la Torre, the house of the tower. And this is what the front looks like. I don't know if it's privately owned or what the deal is, but it is quite unique. At this corner, of course, here is Sí Señor Garden Restaurant, and right next to it is Café des Artistas. All that block is Café des Artistas. And very quickly we find ourselves in the part of town where the original art galleries established themselves. This used to be the heart and soul of the art walk, and I imagine it still is. I just don't find myself in this part of town all that frequently anymore. And we have walked this section of Guadalupe Sanchez before, and we're just gonna walk it again all the way down to the street where Woolworth is. And before you know it, we have crossed all of El Centro, and we find ourselves in 5 de Diciembre in a matter of a couple of blocks. And how nice it is that we have been able to walk all these blocks without being in direct sunlight at this time of the afternoon. Very popular with tourists. At this corner we find Pipi's restaurant. Again, very popular with tourists. Buenas tardes. More shops and small art galleries. And at this corner on the right hand side, we find Colectica, that is Kevin Simpson's traditional Mexican folk art gallery, where he sells collector pieces, beautiful pieces, I may say. And as long as we're here, we'll try to capture the beautiful mural that he commissioned for his facade. And in just about 15 minutes, we find ourselves at the corner where Woolworths is located. In fact, we're walking along the backside of Woolworths. And this is probably a good place to stop for a second and wrap things up for this walk. As always, it's a pleasure to get together with you. Oh my goodness, look at all the remodeling that's going on at Barcelona Tapas. What's his name? Carvalho is his last name, but I'm spacing out on his first name. He's been serving dinner from the upper levels. Clearly, Bill Carvalho. Clearly, he is now fixing up the lower levels. But this is another great restaurant in town that you can enjoy. And this brings us to the end of our walk. This was a quick walk through to El Centro so that you can get a sense as to what it is, what it has been, and what it could become. As always, I appreciate your company, and I hope to see you soon for another walk. Take care.